Welcome back to the deep dive. Before the break, we were tossing around what might make a thought leader hesitate before signing on with a marketing agency.
Right, it can feel like a big leap of faith.
For sure. So let's imagine you're a thought leader at the top of your game. You know, a leading expert in artificial intelligence.
Okay, at the forefront of AI.
How could a specialized agency like Hook help you reach a wider audience?
Well, first of all, they'd help you really clarify your personal brand within the AI space because it is pretty crowded right now.
Yeah, there are a lot of voices out there.
So making sure that your unique value proposition is super clear and then building a content strategy that showcases your deep knowledge.
So not just talking about AI in general, but really honing in on your specific area of expertise.
Exactly. Maybe that means writing in-depth blog posts or contributing articles to industry publications or even creating a podcast or video series.
Ooh, I could see it now. A podcast called AI and the Future of Humanity with you as the host.
Huh, I don't know about that.
And Hook could handle all the production and promotion and get it out to the world.
Make me a star.
Exactly. But, it's not just about creating the content. It's about getting it in front of the right people.
Right, that's where the media relations piece comes in.
So how would Hook help with that?
They could leverage their connections to land you interviews in major publications or speaking gigs at big conferences.
So you'd be on stages, on podcasts, in magazines.
Everywhere, reaching a huge audience.
Shaping the conversation, influencing policy decisions, maybe even inspiring the next generation of AI innovators.
Now you're talking.
But let's shift gears for a second. What about someone who's just starting out as a thought leader? How could Hook help them build a platform from scratch?
Well, that's where their wide range of services can be really valuable. They could help a new thought leader define their brand, create a website, get them set up on social media, and even create that first piece of thought leadership content, like an ebook or a series of blog posts.
So they're like a one-stop shop for going from zero to thought leader.
Exactly. And most importantly, they'd help that thought leader figure out their niche, who they're trying to reach, and what message will really resonate with that audience.
So they're not just putting words on a page. They're helping them find their voice.
Exactly. And they'd be doing all of this with a constant eye on data and results, tracking progress and making sure the thought leader is seeing a return on their investment.
So they're not just throwing things at the wall and hoping something sticks.
Nope. They're strategic and data-driven every step of the way.
I like it. So Hook's vision seems pretty inspiring. I'm excited to see what they do in the years to come. But we've focused a lot on the positives. Are there any potential downsides or limitations to this specialized approach?
Well, one thing to keep in mind is cost. Specialized agencies, like we said before, they tend to be more expensive than generalist agencies.
Because it got that niche expertise.
Right, so a thought leader would need to weigh the benefits against the cost to see if it makes sense for their budget.
Always a factor for sure. What else?
Scope is another thing to consider. Hook offers a pretty impressive range of services, but they might not be the best fit for every single project.
Right. They can't be everything to everyone.
Exactly. For example, if a thought leader wants to launch a huge brand awareness campaign or do a lot of traditional media outreach, they might need to bring in additional support.
So it's about having the right team for the job.
Exactly. It's like assembling a thought leadership dream team.
Ooh, I love that. A thought leadership Avengers squad.
Ah, perfect. And no matter how amazing the agency is, clear communication and collaboration are absolutely crucial.
That makes sense. You can't just hand it off and expect them to work magic.
Exactly. Even though Hook emphasizes open communication, the thought leader still needs to be proactive, communicate their needs, their expectations, their feedback.
It's a two-way street, right? It's a partnership.
Precisely. The thought leader needs to be a driver, not just a passenger.
But let's be real. What happens if things go wrong? What if a campaign doesn't meet expectations, or a sudden crisis pops up that threatens the thought leader's reputation?
Well, that's where Hook's risk management plan comes into play.
Okay, tell me more about that.
They're constantly monitoring the landscape, identifying potential threats, and having those backup plans ready.
So they're like the digital equivalent of a crisis management team.
Exactly. Always on standby and ready to jump into action.
It's good to have someone in your corner when things get rough.
Absolutely. And through it all, their focus remains on the thought leader's long-term success.
So they're not just looking for quick wins, they're building something sustainable.
Precisely.
Well, it sounds like a lot to consider. But for a thought leader who's ready to take their message to the next level, partnering with a specialized agency like Hook could be a game changer.
I agree. Their unique approach, their expertise, their commitment to data, and their client-focused philosophy make them a really interesting option for thought leaders who want to make a real difference.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the what and the why of Hook digital marketing.
Right, what they do and why they do it.
But let's get into the how. What are some real-world examples of how they've actually helped thought leaders succeed? Now, we don't have access to specific client case studies right now,
Right, that information isn't publicly available.
but we can imagine a few scenarios based on what we know about their approach and their services.
I like it. Let's get hypothetical.
Okay, so imagine Hook is working with an expert in renewable energy, someone who's trying to really push for the adoption of sustainable solutions.
Okay, so they're trying to influence policy, get people to take action.
Exactly. And let's say this expert has written a groundbreaking book on the topic, full of research and practical solutions, but it's not getting the attention it deserves.
Ah, so they need help amplifying their message.
Exactly. How could Hook help in a situation like that?
Well, they probably start by making sure that the expert's personal brand is really dialed in, so their message resonates with the right people, including those policymakers.
So it's not just about being an expert, it's about being the right kind of expert for this particular mission.
Exactly. And then they'd create a content strategy that goes beyond just the book.
So not just relying on people to find and read the book.
Right. Thinking about op-eds in influential publications, blog posts that break down complex ideas into bite-sized pieces, maybe even webinars or videos that explain the key concepts in a really engaging way.
So they're taking the core ideas from the book and repackaging them for different audiences.
Exactly. And making sure it's accessible to busy people who might not have time to read a whole book.
And of course, there's the media relations piece.
That's where Hook would really shine. They'd connect the expert with journalists who cover energy and environmental policy, pitch them for interviews on podcasts and news programs, even try to secure speaking engagements at those big conferences and events where all the policymakers hang out.
So they'd be making sure the expert is in all the right rooms, talking to all the right people.
Exactly. And it wouldn't just be a one-time push. They'd create a long-term strategy to keep that conversation going.
So monitoring the news cycle for opportunities to comment, engaging with policymakers on social media, really staying top of mind.
Exactly. Hook would be like a strategic advisor helping the expert navigate that complex world of policy and advocacy.
So it goes way beyond just marketing. It's about creating real-world change.
And I think that's what's so exciting about Hook's approach. They're not just focused on clicks and conversions. They're thinking about the bigger picture.
Well, that's all the time we have for part 2 of our deep dive into Hook digital marketing.
But we're not done yet.
We've got one more part coming up where we'll explore even more about Hook and the world of thought leadership.
So stay tuned. We'll be right back.